Hey everyone, it's Callie. Thanks so much for joining me today. I've got a 2-for-1 card for you. I've got a box and a card with a fun scene that also incorporates a slider. So we will get started here by stamping out this stamp set by Simon Says Stamp called Santa Sleigh Ride Slider. So it was intended to be a slider. You don't have to use the slider portion, but I've decided to include it in my card today because that Santa and deer is just too cute not to ride across the sky, right? So we will be speeding through the coloring process here. I really want to show you the interactive portions of this card. So after I've colored and die cut, I added some white gel highlights, and now I am going to add some shine to it and a little bit of glitter using some glossy accents and the unicorn dust by Simon Says Stamp, just adding a little bit of some glittery accents to that snow. And once I'm done doing this, I'm going to be setting that aside to dry while I work on other components of my card. All right, so to create my box, I'm going to need 2 pieces of cardstock. My first panel is going to be cut down to a 5x5, and this panel is going to be the back of the card box. And then my second panel is going to be 2 inches by 9.5 inches. And this is going to be the box portion that sits at the bottom of your card. And so with these dimensions, what we're going to do is be creating a box card that's going to fit inside a 5x7 envelope. The reason why I'm making a wider box is because the scene that we've just stamped and colored is approximately 5.5 inches wide. So now I am having to create a wider box to accommodate and include that entire image. You can leave your box perfectly square, but I decided I wanted a hillside, so I hand cut that hillside, and now I've put this in my scoreboard, and I'm scoring at 1/4 inch and 2.25 inches. And then I'll flip my cardstock and do the same. Once that's done, I'm going to be adding some blue coloring to the hillside just to give it a little bit of a snowbank and give it some color before I adhere this portion of my card to my box. Okay, and now to add some more sparkle on that snow, I'm doing the same thing that I did earlier. I'm adding some glossy accents and putting some unicorn dust on the border of this hillside so that there's some sparkle and shine to the snow. Okay, so we'll set that aside to dry while I work on a background panel. I've cut a second one here. It's approximately 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, and I'm going to be ink blending a night sky. So I'm using Salty Ocean first, and I don't have to go all the way to the bottom because the bottom of the box is going to be hiding a lot of this, so I'm just leaving that part blank. And I've used Salty Ocean, Blueprint Sketch, and now I'm going to go in with Wilted Violet to kind of give it a purple hue for the night sky. After ink blending, I'm going to spray that with some water to give the night sky some texture and a bit of a starry sky feel. And there are 2 slider dies with this stamp set, and you can do one across the bottom of your card if you want Santa and the reindeer to be taking off, or you can do one in the sky for them going across the skyline. So that's the one I'm going to be using today. So after I die cut the slider portion, I'm going to reuse that piece and inlay it back into my card base. That way I have a blue backing to my slider portion. You can also leave that part off and just ink blend some blue in the background. That probably would have been a lot easier. So on slider cards, a lot of people like to use coins. I don't know why, but it feels wrong for me to put a coin into a card that might possibly end up in the trash, and then that penny or coin is gone. I know it's super silly of me to think like that, right? I just have certain things that I'm particular about, and I need to get over it. So my work around this is to use the MFT spin and slide discs. And then I'm using a punch to punch out 1/2 inch discs, and I've got 4 of them for the top and bottom of those slider discs. And I've attached my slider discs to one of those rounds and then put them behind that slider portion and then attach the other 2. Now on this one, I'm going to have to trim it down because that deer's body is not as wide for my circle. So I'm just trimming it down to make sure that it fits behind that body. And then I'll attach it to that second disc. And we'll be attaching that deer first to make sure that no white shows. And because this is a little disc, you can kind of manipulate it so that it can fit onto the other disc without showing any white. and it works out perfectly. So you'll see here, I'm gonna add some glue to that portion first, line up my deer so that no white is showing, and then I'm gonna move it out of the way and add some adhesive to the other round and adhere Santa's sleigh to that. I think one bonus to not using a heavy coin is that there is more friction on the slider. So you can kind of position it and it will often stay on the card where you put it. So it's kind of fun for the recipient to kind of push the sleigh and the deer back and forth and leave it where they want it to be displayed. So then for the back, I am going to add some foam adhesive. And I'm not going all the way down to the bottom. We're trying to limit the bulk at the bottom of the box since there will be a box there and then some additional scene elements that will add bulk to your card. So I am just adding foam adhesive to the top there, and then I layered it over the card base where I put that inlay slider element. Once your background is in place, you can go ahead and attach your box portion now. I'm just lining up the box here to make sure that it's flush against the bottom of the card and only adhering one side because that will help me line up this village border. So as I mentioned earlier, this village border is 5.5 inches. I'm scoring them at 1/4 inch on either side and then trimming it off. And then I'm cutting a second panel because I kind of want this village to sit up a little bit higher so the scene isn't hidden inside my box. So I'm creating an extended border, if you will, just making sure that my scene doesn't get hidden inside that box. And I'll go ahead and trim down my tabs, making sure that it doesn't extend over the hillside of the actual box. I'm adding score tape to my tabs, and then I will once again just line up the right side and then fold over that entire box to make sure that everything lays flush. And then I can attach the left side of my box. At this point, I felt like I needed a second hillside behind the village scene, so I went ahead and did that off camera. I got a panel that was 5.5 inches, and I hand cut a hillside and then scored 1/4 inches for the sides of my tabs and then attached that to the back. And then I've got a sentiment here that I've embossed from this stamp set, and I have trimmed it down and gone ahead and embossed it off camera to attach to the front of my box card. And then that finishes my card for today. You've got a fun Santa sleigh ride in a card box that creates this fun Christmas holiday village scene. And I'll show you here that it can fold and fit inside a 5x7 or A7 envelope just perfectly. I really hope you enjoyed this card and appreciate you stopping by on my YouTube channel today. Be sure to like and hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And there are 2 more projects here that I'll be linking to if you're interested in seeing more. Thanks again for stopping by, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.